Hey everybody, it is August 22nd, 2007. I am Sonic Sons. I'm here talking about old games, or retro games, or whatever term you'd like to use. Ever since the Wii came out, yay Wii, there've been the Virtual Console, obviously, the ability to download all sorts of old Nintendo and Sega and TurboGrafx games, which honestly, I'd never heard of the TurboGrafx before this came around. But ever since that, I've been playing old games more so than usual. Which is to say, I generally don't play old games much at all, because I don't want to illegally download them. Which makes it rather hard then to get them. So, I looked around at these things, and I found, with games in general, these things seem to age really fast. I think it's $60, when it comes out, and a year later it's like $30, and, gee, I mean, just to think, what we're doing 10 years ago with games. 1997? That was, well, that was before the Wii, let's say that much. That was before the GameCube. That was a long time ago, but if you look at other films, look at, books, gee, books of 10 years ago are still perfectly readable. Most times you pick up a book, you don't know when it came out. It's either very new, or it's just a book. Or it's actually molding, in which case you can call it old. But, most things, you just don't care that much. Movies, people care a fair amount. But still, 10 years ago, we were using essentially the same stuff to make movies. And we made better special effects in the meantime, but particularly look at things that don't use special effects very much. You look at realistic fiction, right? The stuff from 1997 looks just the same as the stuff from 2007. But video games, at least at this stage of their development, age really, really fast. I just look at the N64 graphics. Oh, man. Or the PS... Didn't make a fair comparison. Let's look at a PS1 and the PS3. Now there's a big jump for you. Even though the PS3 still is ridiculously expensive and all these other digs I can have against it. Gee, the processing power goes up so tremendously. And our various techniques on making games, mainly the jump from 2D to 3D, changed things tremendously. And now we're doing new control schemes and stuff. And you can argue a lot of things aren't changing. There's a lot of cliches. There's, all the World War II shooters, which they just can't stop making, apparently. There's still a lot of, need to just be on the pretty close to the cutting edge anyway, because that's where all the stuff is. So when you go back to old games, it's weird. This is something Noob2 has discussed. You try and find, the difference between, is this a classic game, or is this such a nostalgic game? Because a lot of the times you find that what you really loved about the game was all the memories you had back when it was the greatest thing ever, I think back to all the days when we made all these text adventures, which I was never into, but I've heard about them, certainly. I guess they were pre-video games. It's hardly a video game, it's just text. But I guess it technically counts, whatever. And those were so cool. I thought I got really into this, or at least the nerds did. And then, nowadays those are dying out. And I look back to two-dimensional games, not a lot of them are around anymore, A lot of stuff just doesn't offer as much. And, it's not so much... Well, there's a combination. There's technology, right? And then there's game design. But hopefully game design gets better. That's the thing that gets better slower. Technology just rockets upward. The PlayStation 3 is a billion times more powerful than the PlayStation 1, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? I think it's at least 100 times the power, right? That doesn't mean everything is 100 times as fun, necessarily. Probably a few factors of fun, but, power and gameplay mechanics don't always go right hand in hand, which is something the people at Sony don't quite understand. Ha, PS3. But I've been playing a few things on my Virtual Console, right? I've been playing, let's see, I got Ristar, for instance. Is that how you pronounce it? Ristar, Ristar? But it's it's made by the guys that made Sonic, right? It was actually Sonic Team, and they went and they made Ristar on the side. And I've played that 200 times or something, but it's mainly because I'm lying down at my college, or I'm lying on my bed and I've got the laptop and like I kind of just playing on the side while I look at my laptop. It kind of freaks out my roommate because like I can do pretty well even when I'm looking at something else. There's a place for games. It's kind of just in another casual sense. I'm just kind of playing this just there's something to do. You know, it's almost like just listening to music. As a matter of fact, I am listening to music as I play this game for the zillionth time through. And there's a place for it. I got a couple other things. I got like Sonic, the 2 Sonic games they have up there. I have Elevator Action, also known as a waste of $5, which I'm sure somebody loves this game, but like I couldn't get into this. You know, this is pretty limited. I got Ice Hockey. I had that back in the day on the NES, and that's okay. Haven't really played it. So I remember back in the day. Do you guys remember this back in the day? Ice Hockey was so cool. Everything was so cool. All the games were awesome. You know, choosing like the makeup of your team, of fat people versus skinny people, and bumping them around and figuring stuff out. Now it's just like not much you can do with this. There's not. I got a couple of awesome things. I got Super Mario 64, right? And I've got Star Fox 64. And I would have Zelda Ocarina, but I already have it on that bonus Wind Waker disc anyway, so yeah, that's fine. Those are still fun, but even so, you know, I played them before. You know, I played through Star Fox, and I can get to the end in one sweep, so long as somebody beats the second Star Wolf group for me, or unless I take the other route to Venom. Yeah, that's pretty cool, and then I kind of put it down. But before, when I first discovered Star Fox, some 10 years ago, whatever, wow, that was amazing. Played it at my cousin's house, and it was while I was at his house, we forgot, like, the ultimate ending. And, like, I was there, we were doing it, and it was just so cool. And now I'm just thinking of all the problems. I'm thinking, like, oh, I've heard these phrases before, you know, I'm thinking of low polygon count, which doesn't bother me as much, really. But all the situations I've encountered over and over. Yep, here come those guys on the right again. Here come those. You know, I just recently got Super Metroid, right? And I was really excited about this because I've seen on like the top 100 games of all time lists you hear now and then. Super Metroid ranks like right in the top 10. I saw like a number 2 once way back when, and I was amazed because when I first read that article some years ago, actually. I didn't know there was a Super Metroid because I had only a Genesis, right? As far as the Super Nintendo stuff, that was only if I was at a friend's house, maybe I'd play that. So I have played Super Mario extensively, but I never known there was Super Metroid. Here it is on like the top 10 games, and so I hear it's coming out finally on the Virtual Console. It just came out 2 days ago, and I thought this is great because it's a classic game that I've never played. So I can't be like, oh yes, I remember this boss. So I start playing Super Metroid, right? And it starts off pretty cool. You know, the intro thing is just a little bit like a movie intro, you know, and they slide past this like creepy little room and music in the background. Some of the opening stuff, you go to like this space station. By the way, spoilers for Super Metroid, not that it has much of a plot. You go to like this space station thing, I'm going around, this is nice. And I fight this one guy, and then as you're going out, like the whole thing starts tilting, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm into this. But later on, I started getting frustrated. And I know I wouldn't have gotten so frustrated had I played it way back when. Like, you know, 1994, 13 years ago. I would have been really young, but I would have loved it, I know. I would have been obsessed with the game. And then, having played it, and loved it, and probably not even beaten it, because it was, not that good at games at the time. I would have played it for months straight, believe me. So I did with the original Half-Life. I never beat it, actually. For months, I just played this. And TIE Fighter on the PC. That was also amazing. I would have played it forever. I would have absolutely loved it. And then, some 13 years later, I'm finally about to get it on Virtual Console. And I would have enjoyed it more on Virtual Console for a nostalgia factor, Like, I remember this from way back. So I'm playing it now. And there's certain flaws here and there. Like, when it's good, but sometimes you get stuck. Sometimes it's just like, which room do I go to next? Everything seems to be blocked. And, like, you essentially have to shoot this one block somewhere, and that's your passageway.